Everybody experiences racism in a different way, so the microaggressions and the words that I experience are very different than somebody who is a professional moving here to work at the university to a 17-year-old who this is their first experience living away from their family and has a racist experience. There's a full spectrum of racism.
Equity Arcata came about because of the stories that we were hearing, and it really came about with members of the city staff and the university coming together and starting to have some honest conversation about that, and then really just recognizing the need to create something that could safely explore and yet really have some direct action. Housing, health, education, and employment are sort of the four pillars of where we're looking to systematically change the racial disparity that we see in our community.
There's lots of equity work happening right now in the community, and I think one of the things we're really looking to do is to normalize talking about race and racism.
So around housing, the existing condition was people of color in our community are experiencing housing discrimination. And the desired outcome is that, everybody found accessible and affordable housing in an environment that they were comfortable.
One of the things we're doing is trying to normalize conversations about race and racism and equity, and that's happening through the Equity Alliance of the North Coast. It's also happening with Equity Arcata. It's also happening with the TK-12 work. It's also happening a little bit here on campus. And so getting people to have a similar understanding of concepts and ideas so we can talk about the issues that are occurring. And Equity Arcata, generally speaking, is looking to work with business owners, support students and non-students in community building around potlucks. We're offering training and learning within our group to model ongoing learning, that this is a lifelong process, and also offer that to the community. On campus, there are efforts to the Humboldt tenant-landlord collaboration out of housing is working to design this module. And there's some efforts around scholarships or some sort of security deposit for students to support them, because it is such a heavy lift to have all that money at the start to secure housing off campus. So there are multiple efforts happening.
By just going through some learning sessions, be able to help one another and ensure that those biases that we might have may be actually not there. So, implicit bias are those beliefs, those assumptions and attitudes we have or carry of a social group or a population, and that's based on just prejudices and based on stereotyping. So if we learn and unlearn those stereotypes, then we are able to make better decisions.
One thing is to look at patterns. So if I have a lot of applicants in my, to live in my apartments, for example, I might look at who are the people that I actually rent to, and how has that history looked over the years that I've been a landlord. And knowing how diverse the student population is here, and how increasingly diverse our larger community is also, looking at, why might I have just a certain group of folks? And if I just have white folks, for example, in my units, what's going on there? Because white folks aren't the only people looking for housing, and we're a Hispanic serving institution, so more than 25% of our students identify as Hispanic or Latino, Latina, or Latinx. And those folks are looking for housing too. So if there's a pattern that doesn't meet who's in our community, that's something to note.
Just that information alone can really open their eyes to ensuring that I understand the student population that might be coming in, I understand the professional population that's coming in, and how can I educate myself to make sure that I'm not then going based on my own biases that I think the student population is about, and understanding that everyone's lived experience is going to change, and it's very different from one person to the next. So just being mindful and understanding and culturally aware.
The implicit association test is something that folks can take. We can't using reflection, we're incapable of identifying our implicit biases, so we need other people to help us see. We need to see patterns or use tools. So the implicit association test is a tool that people can use to look at bias around race, but also lots of other identifiers. Other things to do could be watching shows or reading authors or watching movies that don't always center people who are like me or don't always center white folks, you know, to learn about people from other places and people who live here that are different from us, and to get a better sense of those realities. As white folks, we're not, I think generally speaking, we don't think about like, oh, what is my life like as a white person? We think about class and we think about gender, but every moment our whiteness is impacting our success. It's really an ongoing process. It's not like, oh, I did this training and now I'm done. Like, I know I have implicit bias and privilege, so now I'm done. It's like, well, no, that's kind of just the beginning.
In collaboration with HSU and collaboration with, you know, other businesses, we're really trying to help, you know, one another in the areas that we need, so that collective impact.
I think that having people come together, look at things like housing discrimination, look at things like discrimination in employment, create a more welcoming environment for students, letting them know that there's a place for them here is a good first step. And then we need to change policies, you know? We need to actually intentionally say, this is who we are, this is what we stand for, this is what we will not allow. We need to educate the realty market to break up that attitude and to sort of say, no, that's not what we do here. It takes time and it takes education and it takes ongoing, persistent attention.
We, in our intentions to be good, are causing harm. And so the goal is to cause less harm, but that takes humility and courage and work to really look deeply. And I think a lot of times people would like something quick.
We've done some great work. It's hard and it's slow, and we all wish that we could move the needle instantly, right? But this is work that's going to take decades to undo.